What's up, everybody? We're going to be doing another Hornady versus Barnes showdown. We'll be using the 6.5 Grendel 120 grain Hornady GMX and the 127 grain Barnes LRX. These are both using CFE 223 powder. I've done a couple other videos before doing Hornady versus Barnes expansion, and a lot of you guys complained that I compared the Barnes LRX to a Hornady ELDX, saying that it was an apples to oranges comparison. And I don't see anything wrong with apples to oranges comparisons. Some people like apples, some people like oranges, some people like both, depending on the day. So today we're going to be doing a more apples to apples comparison, and we'll see how these two bullets stack up. So here are two cartridges. On the left we got the Hornady 120 grain GMX. On the right we have the Barnes 127 LRX. The Hornady GMX is a copper bullet, and it has a ballistics coefficient of 0.450. The Barnes LRX is also a copper bullet, and it's got a ballistics coefficient of 0.468. So very comparable ballistics coefficients on both of them. The GMX is slightly lower, but also the weight of the bullet is also slightly lower. We're going to take it out, we're going to get a chronograph reading, and then we're going to do some water jug tests and see how the two stack up. Almost forgot, but I will be using my Alexander Arms Hunter 6.5 Grendel. It's got an 18-inch barrel, and this is what we'll be using today to do the tests. Okay, once again it's windy here in Colorado. I'm going to step back to about 10 feet away. First up is going to be the 120 grain Hornady GMX. We're going to fire 3 shots and see what kind of readings we get. There's our 3 readings on the GMX. Next up, the Barnes 127 grain LRX. There's our Barnes LRX. A little bit slower velocity, but that's to be expected. It is a little bit heavier bullet. We're going to set up some def jugs that are full of water. I wish they were full of def, because there's not much else def is useful for, but def would be a little too expensive. We're going to set up some def jugs at 200 yards, and we're going to see how both of these bullets stack up. Alright, so here we sit. We got 4 def jugs lined up. We're going to go back to 200 and have a little fun-do. Our first bullet that we're going to shoot is the Hornady 120 grain GMX. Okay, so the 200 wasn't so much fun though, with all the wind and stuff. I didn't have my bipod, didn't have a great rest, made a bad shot and nicked the 3rd jug. So I got another def jug set up. I'm gonna go back to 200 and hopefully this time we'll get a better shot. Okay, so finally here's a bullet. Did not hit the ground. I still hit low. Might have to check the 0 on my gun, but it went through the first 2 jugs, hit number 3, and stopped. It looks like just at the beginning of number 3, but it looks like the bullet opened up nicely. There's still quite a bit of hollow point left, so it didn't open fully, but we'll go ahead and take the barns. We'll shoot some more jugs and we'll see how it compares. Let's see what the damage was here. We went through two pretty easily, it appears. Into number 3. Got an exit out of number 3 and into number 4. Almost didn't put that one up because I didn't think I'd need it, but we'll open the cap up. Look in there. We can see the bullet, so we'll go ahead and pull the bullet out and see how it looks. Okay folks, here's our bullet. As we can see, beautifully expanded. Didn't expand fully, just like the Hornady GMX, but it looks like the diameter is quite a bit larger and it might have peeled down closer to the shank, but looks pretty good. Alright folks, so here we have it. We have the Hornady 120 grain GMX and the Barnes 127 grain LRX. And if we take a look here, we can see quite clearly that the Barnes appears to be quite a bit larger expanded than the Hornady. And you can also see that the Barnes is peeled down closer to the shank than the Hornady. We'll take these two bullets and get a weight on them. Let me turn on my scale real quick. Oops. We'll see what they weigh. First up, like we've been doing the whole video, we'll do the Hornady. Set it on there. Original weight was 120. And it looks like we have 118.4. So near 100% weight retention. A little bit lost, probably 1 grain due to the plastic tip. Right here we have the Barnes. The Barnes weighs 126.2, so again, near 100% weight retention. Lost 0.8 of a grain. Again, it's probably due to the tip. Let's take a look and see how these two bullets expanded on the calipers. Alright, let's check the Hornady first. Zero our calipers here. Here we got our calipers. Definitely need to clean that off. 6.5 Grendel is originally a .264 diameter bullet. We got a .4685, .4605, 4375 or 437. Let's grab the Barnes and see what we have there. With the Barnes, we've got a .5145 and a 5160. So the Barnes definitely expanded more. So there we have it folks, the Hornady versus Barnes expansion test, 6.5 Grendel edition. What bullet do you guys think performed best? For me personally, I like the Barnes. The overall expansion was larger and it drove quite a bit deeper than the Hornady. But I think both bullets are excellent choices if you're going to be shooting large deer or hogs, or you're in a state that uses monolithic bullets. I think both bullets would work very well. I've got experience with the Barnes on antelope, hogs, and one elk, and the Barnes perform spectacular on all of them. Although personally, if I'm shooting smaller size game, I think I'd want something that opens up a little more. The Barnes did the job, but I'd like to see a little more energy dump on the animal and not quite as much penetration. But that's just me. Leave it in the comments what you thought worked better. And this concludes our Hornady versus Barnes expansion test 6.5 Grendel edition.